Hello children, welcome to Social Studies digital class. How are you all? Children, today we are going to learn a very interesting and important topic. Before that, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been hungry for one time or for the whole day? How it would be? Yes, we feel so much of hunger, we would like to eat food, is it not? Suppose if we won't get food for another time also, we start feeling irritated, we start feeling like something should be eaten so that you can satisfy your hunger. And suppose imagine if a person doesn't get food continuously, what happens to him? Yes, his health is going to get deteriorated, and if the situation continues, then he may also face death. So, today's topic is about food. You might have understood that today's topic is about food and how was the situation during the pre-independent times and what were the steps taken by the government after independence to provide the food security to the people, and how was the situation before the independence and after independence, and also what is the present condition. So, today we are going to discuss about food security, that is one of the important lessons in your textbook. So, let us begin. In this class, we will discuss about the situation of India during pre-independent times, food security in India, availability of food grains in our country, availability of other food items. Children, we are going to discuss about food security. This is the first part of the lesson. Why we need to study about food security? Where is the necessity for us to discuss about the food security? Why we should discuss? So that we should have an understanding whether the people of our country are having the food availability all the 3 times and throughout the year and throughout their lives. That itself is the food security. Whether the food is available for the people or not, that we need to discuss in this class and try to develop an understanding about food security. So, children, see this slide. This is the slide of the pre-independent times, the Bengal famine, which was one of the severe famine that occurred during those times. You can see here the photographs of the boys from Life magazine, the children trying to collect food grains from the goods train because there was so much food scarcity. No food was available and those people were hungry. And you can see in the second picture, women sweeping grain fallen on the ground. So, that was how the situation was during those times and how the people suffered with the lack of food. Children, see, in the pre-independent times in India, famine situation of extreme scarcity of food were a common cause of large scale starvation deaths. So many people during that time died because there was no food availability to those people at that time. So, let us see how many people died during that time. You can see like the Bengal famine in the year 1943 to 45, for instance, took about 3 to 5 million people's lives in and around Bengal, Assam and Odisha. Imagine, children, if 1 or 2 deaths occur before our eyes, we feel so sad, sorry for the situation. Imagine so many people dying on the roads, in their homes, on the footpaths during the Bengal famine. So much pathetic was the situation during those times. So what else has happened during the Bengal famine times? Let's understand with a story. So here he was one of the imaginary character of Bengal famine times and he will tell his story in his own words. Let us get into the story. I was the oldest among my siblings. I used to work and survive. I worked as a farm laborer. I left my father in the village and took my brothers and sisters to Kolkata. Kolkata. This is the new name. Earlier name it was Calcutta. It is in West Bengal. We went wherever the food was distributed. Mothers carrying their dead children in their womb and sprinkling water with the hope that their children will get back to life. Such was the pathetic situation. We also saw people eating grass, and we also saw people eating snakes because of hunger. No food was there, no grains were there in their homes. So, to fill the stomach, whatever was there, they started eating. So, even myself also suffered a lot during such times. I lost my 2 sisters and 1 brother. So, I went into depression during those times. That was a very sad story, and I think you have understood the pathetic conditions of the people during those times. How severe was the condition of the people during those times, and during such times itself the government started, the people, the national leaders during those times started thinking of, after independence, serious steps should be taken so that they can come out of those situations and the food security could be provided to all the people. Children, how can food security be created in the country? So, that was the major question before the national leaders after independence. So, what has to be done? Food security of the country. So, the first thing they have to do is increasing the food production. Increasing the food grain production has to be done, and in India the governments create conditions so that farmers are able to produce increasing amount of food grains. So, the amount of food grains should be increased so that food can be provided to all the people, and that can be done through increasing the food production. So, there are 2 options for increasing the food production. The first one is to increase the area under cultivation. So, the area under cultivation has to be improved, and the second one is to increase per hectare a yield of crop by providing necessary inputs in a judicious manner. So, per hectare yield should be improved, means whatever that particular land is there, in that land the earlier there may be lesser production due to lack of irrigation or due to there was no proper inputs that are there, such as the seeds, high yielding variety seeds were used. So, by using high yielding variety seeds, by providing better irrigation facilities, that particular land area the yield should be improved. So, that is how the food grains production could be improved. So, see this graph, children. Graph 1, production of select food grains. So, this has been done by the previous governments and passed from 1970 to 71 till 2010 and 11. This graph depicts about how the production of the food grains has been increased. Here on the x axis there are all the decades that are given, and in the y axis food grains in the million tons is given. So, in the year, this blue color represents the paddy food crop, and the brown color represents the wheat, and the green color represents the jawar, and this dark blue color represents the oil seeds. So, let us see how the paddy and wheat was concentrated, and the production of paddy and wheat was improved from the times of 1970 and 71. So, in the year 1970-71, the paddy production, this is in the million tons, it was more than 41 million tons, approximately 42 million tons in the year 1970-71, and the paddy production in the year 1980-81, you can see it is approximately 52 million tons, and in the year 1990-91, in the next decade, it improved to 73 million tons approximately, and in the year 2000 and 2001, that is up to the next decade, it has been improved, that is up to 83 million tons, and by the time of 2010 and 11, it went up to 95 million tons. So, you can see for every decade the production of paddy has been increasing, means there is an increasing trend of the production of paddy crop. Then you can see similar increasing trend in the wheat crop also. In the year 1970-71 it was about 23 million tons, and in the year 1980-81 it was almost about 36 million tons, and in the year 1990-91 it was about 55 million tons, and in the year 2000 and 2001 it was 70 million tons, and in the year 2010 and 11 it was almost about 88 million tons. It has been always an increasing trend of the paddy crop production as well as wheat crop production. So, here the government concentrated improvement of the production of paddy and wheat, and similarly the production also has been improved. But you can see the other two crops also. Look at the graph. See here, jawar and oil seeds. You can easily identify that there was not much concentration done on the jawar as well as oil seeds. You can see the increase only in the year 1990-91, and there was a decreasing trend in the year 2000-2001, and still it was same maintained in the year 2010 and 11. And you can see the oil seed, there is little bit improvement in the production of the oil up to 2010 and 11. So, you can understand that more concentration has been done over wheat and paddy and wheat, so that these were the two staple crops, and if the production is increased then they can supply to all the people and the food security could be provided. So, let us go for the next graph. So, here this is the graph 2 which shows how the yield of select food grains, that is in kilograms per hectare. So, per hectare production of the crop, how it had been improved. Let us try to understand. So, the y axis indicates the production in kilograms per hectare, and here it is the decades which represents, the x axis represents all the decades. So, as usual the same colors have been used for the food grains. So, you can see per hectare how much of the kilograms have been produced. So, this you can see here also there is an increasing trend of the food grains per hectare, means per hectare they could improve by providing various inputs to that particular land, and they have improved the production in those lands. So, in the year, first let us see for paddy. It is about 1200 kilograms per hectare in the year 1970-71 they were producing, and in the year 1980-81 it increased to about 1300 kilograms per hectare. In the year 1990-91 it was improved up to 1700 approximately kilograms, 1700 kilograms per hectare, and in the year 2000-2001 it has been improved up to 1800 kilograms per hectare of the land, and in the year 2010 and 11 it has been still further improved to 2200 kilograms per hectare, and you can see the increasing trend more than paddy for the wheat. So, in the year 1917 it was only 1300 kilograms per hectare, but it was still you can find an increasing trend of the wheat crop. In the year 1990-91 you can see that there is a constant increase you can find, that is up to 2300 kilograms per hectare, and still it has further improved towards up to 2300 kilograms per hectare, and in the year 2010 and 11 it reached up to 3000 kilograms per hectare. One thing you need to understand children, that land is a limited area, the hectares cannot be expanded, the land cannot be expanded, but you need to understand that on that piece of land the kilograms, that is kilogram per hectare has been improved, means more rice or more wheat was being produced on the same piece of land, because as you know that land is a limited asset, you cannot expand the land, but by providing inputs you can surely increase the production on that particular area of land. So, once again let us go for the graph to understand how the other food grains were not much encouraged. See here for jawar and for oil seeds you can understand that there is very less encouragement given to these two crops. So, which were more improved? That paddy and wheat were given more concentration, so that scarcity could be avoided and food security could be provided to all the citizens of the country. children. Now, let us go for the next thing. So, as I said that we have to provide the irrigation on the piece of land sufficiently, so that on the land more production can be done. So, irrigation is providing the water to the fields. So, that has to be done, and what are the next things that are to be done, let us see. So, the next thing is planting drought resistant crops such as per the local conditions, water harvesting and crop rotation. So, what else can be done apart from only concentrating on the fewer crops? The farmers can also go for drought resistant crops which are suitable to the local conditions, and water harvesting, and even for the crop rotation. They can also go for water harvesting, preserving the water, and even they can also go for the crop rotation which increases the soil fertility. And the next thing is that ensuring that the soil and other natural resources are not damaged or depleted in this process. So, if you continuously go on concentrating in the increase of the production and you do not concentrate about the fertility of the land, which also can damage the or lose the soil fertility. So, soil fertility should be remained. The farmers and the government has to concentrate that more amount of the fertilizers or the pesticides should not be used, and the land fertility should not be lost. Also should be kept in mind by the government as well as the farmers. So, let us go for the next thing. So, how much of the food availability is there in the country? Let us understand. Availability of the food grain. So, the first requirement to provide the food security, what should be there? There should be food availability, means the food in the country. How much of the food is there in the country? That needs to be analyzed first. We have to understand how much of the food is there in the country. So, the first requirement for a country is able to produce food grains for the whole of its population. There should be food availability, only then the food security is possible. So, how do we measure that there is enough food for all of us or not? What is the way to measure that there is sufficient food in the country or not? Let us first estimate what is available, that is per person or per capita availability of food grains in the country should be sufficient and also increasing over the years. So, per capita availability means per person how much of the food is available. Let us try to estimate that first, and not only per capita availability of the food should be there, that also be increasing every year. Over the years more food should be provided to every citizen of the country for continuously over the years. So, there is difference between production and availability of food grains. So, what is availability of food grains? Let us understand. Availability of food grains for the year is equal to production of the food grains during the year, that is production minus seed, means farmers will take out certain amount of their produce for the next year to be planted. So, that comes under the seed, that needs to be subtracted from the production. Then the next one, minus seed minus production minus feed. Feed is for the cattle and even any of the wastage, means in the sense some of the production has lost due to feed by the cattle, some may be getting wastage. So, that all should be eliminated from the production for the next, to understand the production for the particular year. So, production of the food grains during the year plus net imports. Imports are what have been brought, purchased from the other countries, and the next one is imports minus exports minus change in the stocks with the government, that is the government will keep certain stock for itself every year. So, that also need to be subtracted to get the final production for a particular year. So, this is how the production needs to be calculated. So, availability of food grains per person per day is equal to availability of food grains for the year, that we have seen how to calculate in the previous slide, divided by population by 365 days. So, this is how per capita availability of the food grains to be calculated. Now, let us see the next one, besides production, imports are a way of increasing the availability of food grains in a particular area. Imports are nothing but, as I said, what we get from other countries, what we purchase, the government purchase from the other nations, those comes under the imports. And the next one is, another important source of the food grain availability is the food grains available with the government. So, government, as I said, it will keep certain stocks with itself for the food security. So, these are all the various things how to calculate about the food availability, per capita food availability per person. So, now let us go for the next concept. So, information relating to production in this chart you can easily understand the net production of the food grains, net imports, change in government, net availability of the food grains, per person availability per day. So, here in the column 1 you can see for the year 1971 population was 551 millions and net production it was 94 million tons and net imports were 2 million tons and changes in the government stock, that is 2.6 million tons. So, here if we calculate how much net availability of the food grains is there, 94.3 million tons, and per person if we divide this net availability of the food grains by the population, we will get the per person availability per day. That is, per person how much food is available, that is, it is only 469 grams food available for one person per day. So, for similarly in the next years also you can see in the year 1991, if we calculate it, how much of the net per person availability is there, it is only 510 grams per day it is available, and in the year 2011 also 460 grams per availability of the food grains is there. So, this we need to understand that there is a decreasing trend from 510 grams in the year 2011 460 grams. What could be the reason for this? Yes, increase in the population is one of the major reasons for the decrease of the per person availability per day. I think you are able to understand this concept, children. So, now let us go for the next. What falls under the food grains? Food grains, what are the different things come under the food grains? Let us understand here. Edible oils, cereals and pulses. These are the three things which fall under the food grains. So, under cereals, what are the different things? Edible oil in the sense, children, eatable oil. What we eat by putting in curries and all, that comes under the edible oil. Now, under the cereals, you can see coarse cereals and the fine cereals. So, coarse cereals, they are jawar, ragi, bajra and other millets, and fine cereals, they are the rice and wheat, and the other food grains that are there are the pulses. Let us go about understanding the coarse cereals and their benefits out of them. So, what are coarse cereals? As I said that coarse cereals are the jawar, ragi and all. So, many believe that cereals, coarse cereals to be inferior grains. So, generally eaten by the poor people are like that. But on the contrary, there are highly nutritious. These are highly nutritious and wholesome grains. They are the staple diet of millions of people living in the dryland regions of the country. Today, many prefer to call these cereals as nutritious cereals because they are able to cope up with so many diseases such as the diabetes and BP and so on. So, these grains are proving to be more beneficial. Availability of the other food grains. Let us understand about the availability of the other food grains. What are the other food grains that are available? Change in the consumption pattern with people demanding more fruits, vegetables, milk, meat, poultry and fisheries. So, people now they are adding to their diet, like earlier only whatever was available because of their changes in the standard of living, they have changed their dietary plans also. They not just are preferring only wheat and rice with vegetables, but they have changed to the other things such as they are taking more fruits, vegetables, milk poultry and fisheries also. So, this is a good sign for the consumers as well as producers. You can see many fruits are available and people are consuming, and even people preferring to drink milk, as well as the consumption of the milk is also there. At the same time, more vegetables are also being consumed. Consumers need a balanced food basket and a balanced diet, so that they can be more healthy and they can do all the works and earn good money. Farmers producing food grains can go for crop diversification in order to increase their income. Means farmers also need the diversification in the crops, because so that they can produce the different things and earn more money. So, both the sides it is getting balanced. So, children, let us go for the next thing. Although there has been increase in production of other food items over the years, it is not sufficient to meet the minimum dietary requirements. As I said, people are changing their diets, but still they have to take more, means all the people are not getting all the benefits. Only whatever available, those who are little bit financially fit, they are going for different consumption, different food items. What about the poor people? Means whatever the per capita availability of the nutritious food is not there for all the citizens of the country. So, there is a lot of problem in that. So, let us understand. Although there has been increase in the production of other food items over the years, it is not sufficient to meet the minimum dietary requirements. So, nutritionists suggest that every person in India should eat 300 grams of vegetables and 100 grams of fruits in a day, whereas per person availability of this food material is only 180 grams of vegetables are available and 58 grams of fruits are available. Means it is 300 is the minimum requirement, but how much is available? Only 180 grams. So, are you able to understand this? And the next thing is, how much of the fruit is available to the people? Yes. So, it is 100 gram is the requirement and it is only 58 gram is available to the people. So, this is not good for the health of the citizens. See in this slide, you will understand more better. Food item per person requirement, per person availability. So, rice 300 grams per person requirement is there, as we have discussed in the previous slide. So, what is availability? Per person availability is 180 grams. Fruits it is 100 grams as we have discussed, and only 58 grams per person availability is there. Eggs it is per person requirement is 180 grams, whereas very less is available to the people, only 30 eggs per person availability. Meat is also 11 kgs, whereas 3.2 kgs is per person availability. Milk it is 300 milliliters, and what is available? It is 210 milliliters only. So, I hope you have understood this chart in a better way. So, there is a lot of need for the people to maintain a good and nutrition diet, so that they can be healthy, and we still have not reached to up to that extent. Children, what should be done? Let us see. Farmers require support in terms of inputs and market opportunities for diversification of other items. Farmers have to be supported and guarded against market risk that they face in the new situations. So, farmers need a lot of support for the diversification as well of the products, the input should be there, and even marketing opportunities also should be there, and they should be supported and guarded for the market risk and to also face the new situations. Agriculture diversification may impact food grain production. Careful planning is required so that food grain production and other crops should be balanced, and it should not lead to low production of food grains. I hope you have understood the lesson and also understood the concept of the food security, and we will be learning more concepts about food security in the next lesson, that is food security part 2. So, try to read the textbook and understand the concepts. Before that, let us go for the evaluation questions. The first question is, what is food security? Explain. The second question is, what is per capita availability of the food grains? Explain in brief. The third question is, write the suggestions of the nutritionist regarding the food consumption by the people. I hope Till here you have understood the lesson in a better way, and you can ask the doubts to your teachers and you can go through the worksheets. For better understanding of the concepts, go through the worksheets and visit the site of SIET for the worksheets. So, meet you in the next session, that is Food Security Part 2. Until then, take care. Thank you.